What's going to stay the same? All of my life, I've been interested in what's been going on at the Mint. And fortunately for me, there's an awful lot of people out there who are interested. Even if they have stopped buying proof sets or buy fewer proof sets, the Mint is still a central focus of what's going on in our business. And if you don't have to take my word for it, there's a website out there that all they do is write stories about new Mint products and mintages of Mint products and so on and so forth. And it's amazing how something can conduct itself as a business and focus on nothing but Mint products. I mean, you ask yourself, well, why don't they just go to the Mint website? Well, they do that too. But that's how our business is going. So the Mint is always going to stay as a central focus. Another thing that's going to remain, and I don't know how many individuals here are members of the American Numismatic Association. I see Ralph Ross in the back of the room. He's the governor on the board of governors of the American Numismatic Association. One of the guideposts that is always going to be there for numismatics, at least as far as it's important for any of us in this room and the next generation of collectors. But one of those guideposts in numismatics is always going to be the American Numismatic Association. You can criticize it, and believe me, I have. It's the only thing, it's the only game in town for organized numismatics. If someone says, who speaks for numismatics, who do you point to? You might point to CoinWorld, you might point to Numismatic News, but if we're gone in terms of paper form, the only person or the only thing left standing is going to be the American Numismatic Association. So if you're a member of it, vote in the election. The future of it is critical. The health of the organization is critical. I'm optimistic for it. I believe it will always be there because there's always going to be a hobby. But the American Numismatic Association will continue to exist. TNA, same thing. State organization, strong organization with a long, proud history. There's a need for it. And you are not being buffeted by the same economic pressures that buffet the numismatic newspapers. Stick with it. You're important. You're going to become more important. And TNA News is going to become more important. That may be the only hard copy product that anybody ever gets 25 years from now. I don't know, but you're doing an important role, as are all the organizations that will continue to exist. Local clubs, maybe not so much. There are a lot of them that are having a hard time surviving, and there will probably be fewer of them in the future going forward. But there are some wonderful stories that you hear. I was talking to Russell Prinzinger, and he was talking about, the North Tarrant County Coin Club. They have over 100 members, and 70 or 80 come to a meeting. Well, that's practically unheard of anywhere else in the country. You just don't get 70 or 80 people at a meeting of a local coin club. Whatever they're doing, I hope they can continue, and I hope they can, teach everybody else to do it around the country, because that will help keep the future bright. Another thing that isn't going to change in numismatics are the great rarities. The 1804 dollar, the brazier doubloon, 1913 Liberty Head nickel. There's always going to be people with money that want to buy the trophies of numismatics. So with those things to point to, we'll always have something to talk about. We'll always have something to point in the general news media going, oh, look at that. If you had this old coin, it's worth millions. So we can always count on that. But the other end of the spectrum, the average circulation finds collector with the average albums, there's going to be an awful lot of sets, if they haven't been done already, that are basically sold for bullion. One of my favorite frustrating aspects of collecting Washington quarters from change in the 60s was, besides the 32 DNS, I could never find a 37S quarter, and it just drove me crazy. I could not find a 37S. Well, now you can buy them all day long if anyone takes the time to identify them, just as bullion. And this used to be one of the better dates in the set, and now any circulation version of it is just bullion. And unfortunately, with fewer circulation finds collectors, that lower end of the business is going to be under pressure between now and 2040. Another thing that is important in terms of what's going to stick around is all of the collective efforts of all the hobby researchers, and maybe I should just say Q. David Bowers because he's the preeminent hobby researcher in numismatics. That corpus of information that is out there will continue to exist. It will continue to guide people. It will continue to be, when a YN wants to know how to collect large cents, they're going to consult the Sheldon book. They're going to consult the Newcomb book. And that will not change. And if they're lucky, they'll read some of Q. David Bowers' writing. And with a little luck, if he is as healthy and long-lived as Eric Newman, he'll still be around in 2040 and still turning out books. So let's wish him well. Grading services. Grading services will still be there. Ever since the commercial grading services came into effect in the 1980s, I've listened to readers go, why do we need them? Why do they charge so much? Yada, yada, yada. We've been complaining. But flip that around. When I was young and just starting out in the business, there were no grading services, and we were worried about counterfeit coins coming out of Lebanon, particularly gold coins. Now it's China. There's always somebody trying to make a buck, selling you something that isn't what is being represented. And I don't know, for all of those people who filled their circulation finds albums, how many 1916 D dimes are in those Whitman albums out there with added D mint marks. I don't know, but I'm sure there are many collectors who will come to the end of their career, or heirs that will discover that Dad bought a coin that isn't what it was supposed to be. And that is, in a nutshell, is why grading services are important, while they will still be here, and why in 2040 they'll still be going strong. Another thing that isn't going to change is gold and silver. We're going to have more fluctuations, and so we'll talk about it. There'll still be more dealer cash flow based on it. So, at the end of this talk, I'll tell you what I think the price will be in 2040, but we can count on the fact that people will be buying and selling it regularly, both as collectible coins and as bullion coins. And so that will continue to be a mainstay of the numismatic business.
If you like this video, we're sure you'll love these 3 videos above, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. CoinWeek is the #1 source online for all things numismatic. Visit www.coinweek.com to take your hobby to the next level.